I'll just start with what I was going to say, and then of course I encourage everybody to come with an idea. I'll try and take my glasses off because I see that they're like reflecting the windows. So recently, audiobooks was brought back to my attention, and ironically, I think it was about a year ago, excuse me, I had my first novel read, and it's all ready to put up as an audiobook. The thing is that after I got all the files and everything from the narrator, I had absolutely no clue what to do with them. And I think that may be kind of a similar situation to other people. What I did some research recently, and last year in 2021, there were and this is statistics just for the United States. Excuse me a second. I just got over COVID the other day.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, but anyway, in 2021 in the United States, there were nearly 74,000 new audiobooks that were put up for sale, which is about a 6% increase from the year before. And as I said, that's just the United States. You compare that to approximately 4 million self-published novels in 2021. So it's a much more targeted market, and it is an expanding market. In the last 3 or 4 years, I think it has increased 36%. So I thought, well, you know, that's really something that we should take a look at as authors. Are we in the audiobook market or not? And I am not at this point, although I have thought about it and I've even taken a step toward it, but I haven't finished doing anything. And I think, in fact, my goodness, that was shortly after I wrote my first book, which came out in 2010. I was asked by somebody, so it might have been in 2012, something like that. I was asked by somebody if I had it as an audiobook, which back then it was kind of like, well, no. But they explained that they traveled a lot and they liked to listen to books as they drove. And I think there's probably a lot of people that do that, or they do it while they're jogging or exercising or whatever. So I thought we should talk a little bit about audiobooks again. Do you have any, Mary, in audiobook at this time?
I don't. I have looked into it a little bit, and I don't know whether you use KDP. I use KDP, and they have an audio option, which, as I understand, I've just looked at a couple of YouTube videos. So you can go to part of the website offered by KDP, which is called Audio something or other, and you can select readers of different price ranges, and then it's all sort of semi-automated the way the KDP automates book titles. So it kind of just moves through the process, but they have very strict rules there about the amount of like excess sound and stuff that you could have. So exactly. It has to fall within those limits. So that's why they say, don't try and do this yourself unless you have a studio set up for it, because, you know, if I could do it, I'd read my book myself, but I don't have a studio. So, but I agree, it's very interesting because a lot of people are into that, or people that are older and their eyes aren't that good, or, you know, you want to do something else at the same time, like go for a walk and listen to the audiobook or something.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, I will send you a link. In fact, give me a minute to find the link. I actually had very recently, excuse me, I just kind of like blew myself out of the Zoom call, but I very recently came across a email that was sent to me. Come on. That had a free webinar about this. And in fact, I had seen this same webinar, or very similar to it, a couple of years ago. And of course, what they do at the very end is they're wanting to sell you a course on how to do audiobooks yourself in your home, that the equipment and everything costs you like less than $200. And what do you know? I don't have it here. I will find it, Mary. You're in the group. I can find you and I will send you the link to it. Anyway, I personally don't think I have the voice for it because I have a thyroid condition, which has given me a real scratchy voice. Otherwise, I would be very interested in doing it myself. Hiring a narrator, it kind of depends. They recommend that your narrator should be of the gender of your main character, which is in romance, like, well, we have both a male and a female, but usually one or the other is a little bit more of the main character. Such as my first book, I had read by a woman because it was very easy to say that, you know, either one of those characters would have been fine as a narrator. My second book, the main character is a female, and it's written in first person female. So that definitely needs to be read by a female. But the sequel to it is first person male. So that definitely has to be read by a male. And my last book, I think could go either way. But I was able to find a gal on Fiverr, and the book was about 90,000 words. And I was amazed. She read that for like $300, as opposed to, you know, $1,200 for a lot of them. I cannot find a male narrator for less than $1,200 for the length of the book that I need read, which is about 93,000 words. But I have looked into different places where you can find narrators if you don't want to do it yourself. Fiverr, which is of course the one I used, and then Upwork, which I think is a little bit more expensive, but I think that people might have a little bit more experience. I'm not sure. And then a website I haven't used before is Guru, G-U-R-U. They have narrators there also. A lot of years ago, when I first started looking into it, acx.com was about the only place that you could upload a audiobook, and they offer it for sale on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Since then, I have found farawayvoices.com, or excuse me, findawayvoices.com, and they have a much broader reach than just Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. So that's something that you might want to take a look at also. On Findaway Voices, you can just upload the files that you have for an audiobook if you have had it narrated either by yourself or somebody else, or you can even hire a narrator on their site too. They're pretty much in the same price range as the other places. There's a third alternative that I have found that I don't know much about. It's called authorsrepublic.com. They also take uploads for audiobooks, but I don't really know anything about them. I downloaded Audacity, which is a free download. And from what I understand, if you're going to do an audiobook yourself, that is the best program to use for audiobooks. It has all the little bells and whistles that you already need in there for cleaning up background noise. I have used it a little bit myself. And after you have recorded something, you can actually highlight the section that you want, and you can click a thing to erase all background noise, and it completely quiets everything other than just the voice. So I know that's one thing that people are concerned with on doing it themselves. Another thing, again, a little of my own experience on recording things for use on the internet and stuff, is having a pop filter on a microphone. You really don't ever want to use the microphone on your computer. You want to get a decent microphone, which might cost you, you know, $100 or something like that. maybe not quite that much, but you want a pop filter on there that takes away the hard, like P's and B's and T's when you're speaking. And what I found effective, I had a very small room that had been intended as a little sauna that would be just the size for 2 people. And because you don't want to have the reverberations like what you get in bathrooms and things of that nature, but you want a small room, and you want to have some kind of sound absorption in there, like the foam rubber egg crate or something that you can put up on the walls, or at least around your section, which will absorb outside sounds or the tinniness that you get a lot of times. So those are some helpful hints for you there if you decide to go by yourself. I do know from the gal who read my book, I had 2 different chapters which were really quite long, and she had to divide them into 2 sections because each individual file, you should have 1 file for each chapter of your book, and those files cannot be longer than 120 minutes or 2 hours long finished. And the 2 chapters that I had that were long, I guess she felt that she would have to rush through it a little bit to have the file size be condensed enough. And so she ended up splitting those 2 chapters into 2 different files. And at the beginning of each file, you have to identify it, such as chapter 1, chapter 2, etc. So she identified these as, I forget which number chapters they were, but for example, chapter 3, part 1, and chapter 3, part 2. So, you know, that's about the sum total of what I have learned so far. I have been told, what really stopped me was after I got the files, I didn't know what to do with them. I thought they had to be put together. You know how like you have to format an ebook or a print book? I thought you had to do something with these files, but I have found out just very recently that you don't have to do anything except go to wherever it is you're going to upload it, whether it's KDP or Findaway Voices or the acx.com, and you're just uploading individual files in the order that you want them to be read, and that's what you have to do. I do not know whether or not you need a new ISBN number. I'm the kind of person who says whatever I change, I'm going to use that new ISBN number anyway. So even though like you don't have to have them on ebooks, I use a purchased ISBN number on my ebooks anyway. So I would be using a purchased ISBN number on my audiobooks also, but I don't know about whether or not you have to have those. I have been told, and I do not know if this is true or not, but I have been told that using KDP, that the reading of the book for an audiobook has to be pretty much identical to the reading of an ebook or the print book, meaning the story has to be the same. You have certain front matter that has to be on any rendition, and I'm not sure that the front matter has to be identical, but there is front matter that is required on audiobooks. Of course, there's the name of the book. There's the name of the narrator has to be given also. The name of the author has to be given. There's a few other things like that. I should have made notes of what those things were, because I do have notes about what they are, but they do have to be included. So, and probably if you look on the KDP, they probably give you the instructions right there of what has to be included. So until I find that link, which I will send that to you on a Facebook PM, but then also when I put the recording up, I will also put the link into that to that webinar that I had found. In case anybody's, there's a lot of information on the webinar, whether a person purchases their program or not. They do provide a lot of information about what's needed on an audiobook. So that's basically all I have today. And I always hope that other people bring some bright ideas, because that's the whole idea, is that we want to share what works and what doesn't work. So how do you currently market your books, Mary?
I don't do much marketing. I think I'm going to do, I haven't done KDP Select, but I think I'm going to do that this time, because a lot of people, well, I'm sure you know all about it, but that way people have Kindle Unlimited, which means they already have a monthly subscription. And once they've paid for their monthly subscription, they read as many books they want for free. So if your book is on there, and that's a huge market compared to any other single market that you could mention. So it's exclusive. That's the reason I haven't done it. I wouldn't do it for all my books, but I think for these books I would, because I think somebody's much more likely to start reading the book if they can get it like at no extra charge. So
yeah, well, especially somebody that has children in the household, where, you know, maybe mom and dad are reading that one and the kids are reading this one over here. That would be very cost effective, as opposed to somebody like me who's, you know, widowed, and there's me and my dog doesn't read anything. You know, so that's a good thing to test. Keywords and categories is very important for discoverability, whether you're on KDP Select or not, Kindle Select or not, whatever they call it. Kindle Unlimited.
So where do you use KDP or not use another?
I have used them in the past. I'm not using them at the moment. I know a lot of authors that will put one series in Kindle Unlimited and have another series out, and then after a few months they kind of switch them back and forth. So, you know, that way they kind of get the best of both worlds. Do you have like an email list?
I don't have an email list. That's what I admire about you, because you're doing textbook, everything you're supposed to do, Facebook group, outreach, and so on. I'm like, wow, where does she get the energy? She's so organized, you know? So I admire that.
I'm not organized. I wish I was. I'm really to the point where I think I'm going to have to get an assistant pretty soon. But if you have not read, if you have not read the book Newsletter Ninja, I highly recommend it. I'm not utilizing everything they say because there's just so much to do, but I waited 10 years before I started a newsletter, and it was 10 wasted years, because I always thought to myself, but I don't know what to say. Who cares anything about what's happening in my life? I'm just amazed at the people who it's like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And so, you know, I'm trying really hard to build that. I think in the last year and a half, I've gone from 0 subscribers to over 1,200. And those are reader subscribers. And I have built a lot of it through doing contest giveaways, which I'm just about getting ready to initiate another one. So you will probably see that posted pretty soon in the Facebook group. It's kind of funny, what I have found out, I did a contest giveaway by myself. It was the first time I did one, and I just wanted to see how it worked before I started inviting other people in. And I gave away a Kindle Paperwhite with 10 romance books on there. And I paid for the romance books and everything. So the whole thing cost me about $125. And I ran the contest, I think it was for 3 weeks. I had over 800 entries, and I think that after the contest was over, you know, some people just enter contests to enter the contest, and as soon as the contest is over, if they didn't win, then they bail. But I think I had maybe 50 people bail was all. And so I thought, well, that's pretty good. And then I did a giveaway contest with some other authors. And the only thing that we were giving away was the whole group of books. I think there were 19 of us. So there were 19 books, and we were going to choose 3 winners. And that one, I think we got, it was less than 400 entries. I think it was about 380 or something like that. So that wasn't quite as successful in my mind, but then there wasn't the big prize there either. And we only advertised it to each other's email list, and then I found some free giveaway sites that I advertised it on. I mean, you didn't really advertise it, you just listed it, you know. So I don't know, in doing this again, I'm a little bit undecided. Well, should I limit it to X number of people and then ask everybody to like contribute $10 or something like that, so that we have the money to buy a prize and to advertise it on some of the paid sites? So that's what I'm thinking about doing. I haven't decided yet, but you know, even if you're doing a 3-week promotion for everybody else's email lists and listing it on some free sites, still in 3 weeks to get 300 new subscribers isn't bad at all in my mind, you know. But that's the one thing I would really suggest, Mary, is think about getting an email list started.
I see the advantages, but my problem is that I really think I got to put my energy into my books, you know, because it's a kind of, for me, it looks like a kind of similar process. I really like your emails. Like I admire the, like you do have stuff about yarn and stuff like that. It's very cool. I like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So if I find your emails enjoyable, and I don't care if there's a prize, I'm like, oh, this is a fun email, let's read it, you know, so that's great.
Yeah, I know. Content is always a challenge for me, and I do, although I subscribe to a lot of other authors' emails, I have to say I don't read them, and I should probably read them just to find out what else are people putting in their emails. They must be having success with them if they do it month after month after month. And that was the other thing, is that for my readers, I have been sending out 3 to 4 a month. I have tried to do 1 a week, doing book swaps with other authors. And sometimes they have been free and sometimes they have been paid. And I think that has made a difference also, as opposed to doing one just once a month and having recipes in there. And this is what I've been doing with my life in there. So, you know, everybody does it a little bit differently. I think once a month, I don't think is often enough to keep yourself front of mind to people. But I think the once a week is just a little bit much to constantly being, I mean, it puts a lot of burden on yourself. So there might be something in there. But the biggest mistake I have learned, and I don't think I learned it from myself, I think I learned it from Newsletter Ninja, is that what you don't want to do is send out a newsletter only to announce new releases, because then people feel that, gee whiz, the only reason I hear from this person is because they want me to spend some money. And, you know, they actually, I was really surprised. People think authors are like celebrities or something of that nature. I mean, I think it's because so many people, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, is like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book, but I never could. Well, why not? Oh, I just don't think I have what it takes. Well, so do any of us have what it takes when we start out? No, it's all a learning process. But people do kind of think of as authors as celebrities, so they really do like to hear from you, Mary. Even if you only send out 1 a quarter,
Well,
just to say hi, everybody.
I only have one fan, but she says, well, someday you'll have more than one, and I want to be the leader of your fan group. I said, it's a deal.
All right, well, that's good. That's good. No, it's wonderful. I wish more people would talk.
And I have to confess.
I'm sorry, you have to confess.
Yeah,
what?
I have to confess this because It's because of her that I wrote like the rest of the series. If I had that interest, I would have been inspired to do it. So, it does make a difference.
It does make a difference. I am at a campground. I live in my RV and I travel around, and I'm at a campground, and a gal came in a couple of days ago, and she had seen the banner that I have on my RV, and she said, I love historical romance. I'd like to buy a couple of your books. And so I sold them to her. And then I didn't see her again. I mean, we sat and chatted for about half an hour, and then I didn't see her again, even though she was just a few RVs down from me. And I thought, oh, well, maybe she's not going to read for a while. And I never, ever ask anybody, did you like the book? I can't take rejection. But she left this morning, and she stopped by. She made it a point of stopping by before she left to say that she was 3/4 of the way through my first book, and that she thought she says, you are a really good writer. That just meant so much to me, to hear somebody say that. So I understand what you mean,
Wow.
Mary, that sometimes it's the encouragement of our readers that get us to keep going, which means now I need to get back into my 5th novel, which is all outlined and started and everything, and it's been sitting there for 2 months doing nothing. Shame on me. But
that's because you're so good at emails. You're off. Your book's suffering for it. Just kidding.
Well, yeah, I know. That's why I need to have an assistant who will take care of some of the other stuff for me, so I can actually do the writing. Because when I started the Facebook group, I had no idea how much energy it takes. And when I was sick with the COVID, it's like nothing got done in the group for 3 weeks, and that's really too long to not do anything in the group. So anyway, you said you had a half an hour, so a half an hour is up.
Have to go, yes.
So
it's great to meet you one-on-one just by accident, but that's really great. I like that.
Yeah, I'm so glad to meet you, Mary. And I will let you go, and I will get the recording up tomorrow. Okay.
And if you could send me the email link to the recording, that'd be super.
Yeah, I will do that. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
Right.
I really admire your dedication of putting out all this stuff. That's incredible. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mary. Bye-bye.
Bye.